Hey, this is Gerd Handel, and welcome to the Inner Light Project. This show is for anyone who's wanting to lead a happier, healthier, and enlightened life. Create more self-love, inject more joy and abundance into their daily life. Join me for inspiring interviews and spiritual topics so you can shine your inner light. Hello and welcome to a special episode of the Inner Light Project. My name is Gerd Handel and today I have someone who is empowering women to get smarter with their finances. I believe that we can all learn something from this person today, and I just believe that it doesn't matter where you are in your financial journey, that we can always learn and grow and evolve. And in this day and age, it's so much more important for us as women to really rise up and really know about our finances because of what the generations were like before us, and just really know that it is possible to turn your finances around. Bola Sokunbi is a finance expert, author and speaker. She is a founder of Clever Girl Finance, where she empowers women to achieve financial wellness and live life on their own terms. She believes we can all live a financially abundant life. Bola, I'm so grateful for having your show and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk with you.
Oh, bless you. Me too. I've been dying to speak with you for like nearly 2 months. But I'm really glad we've got here.
I know all kinds of things working against us, but it's a new year, new start.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah. 2020 new vibes. What I wanted to ask you is your journey of financial freedom is just so powerful. So could you let the listeners know what your life was like before you founded Clever Girl Finance?
Yeah, so before I started Clever Finance, I was working 9 to 5 in technology consulting, and I actually loved my job. I did that for 11 years, and during that process of coming out of college and then getting that job, I was going through life like everybody else, getting married, having kids, moving, and things like that. But along that journey, I was very focused slash mindful of my personal finances and the goals that I wanted to accomplish with my money. So coming out of college, one of my biggest focuses was just saving money. Given the fact that my parents had made really big sacrifices to send me to college, at the expense of their retirement, by
Wow.
paying for my college education in addition to a partial scholarship that I had. And so coming out of college, my big goal was just saving, and 3.5 years later, teaching myself about saving and investing and budgeting and all that good stuff, I was able to save over $100,000. And as I went through that journey, I learned a lot of things. I learned discipline. I learned what it was like to be tired all the time. I had to I had to kind of grow up really quickly and pick my priorities. What were the things that mattered to me most, and was I ready to do what it took to accomplish them? And I think that, getting over that hump of saving 6 figures just made me realize that anything I wanted to do was possible if I put my mind to it. So, that was one of the first big things I did. And then, getting married, having kids, and then wanting to, after a while, I kind of got this space where I wanted to do something that mattered. I wanted to do something, not that my job didn't matter, but I wanted to do something that was more fulfilling to me, that I could say that this is a legacy I'm leaving for my kids. And for me, I feel like also at the time I was going through postpartum depression and all kinds of things,
Wow.
go through your mind during that period. But I kind of came to this point where I was like, I wanted to do something that was more for me and less as a number in a big
Mm.
corporation. So I spent about 1.5 to 2 years actually brainstorming about what it was that I wanted to do. And everything that I came up with came around helping women and helping other people, and also personal finance. So I started Claro Finance as a blog, and here we are today.
Wow. Wow, what a powerful journey. Wow. It just shows, isn't it, that when you're unhappy in something that you're doing, like you have to go and listen from within and not listen to what everyone else is saying.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes you have to follow your heart, with a plan.
Very true. Very true. Otherwise it can get very messy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. So what would you think, what was your turning point, would you say, for you to create this?
I think it was having my kids. That was my turning point. It
Mm.
wasn't like a, like it wasn't. I feel like when if you look at today's personal finance space, there's always something that there's like a story of being deep in debt, or like a story of saving a ton of money that, as soon as this person goes through that experience, they want to do something. But for me, I had saved money years before, and I was just in this space where I was like, okay, I'm doing all the things that I've been told I should be doing when it comes to my finances. I'm following all the steps. I'm making all the progress. I'm talking to my friends about this all the time. I think it was just having my kids that made me want to say, okay, I'm going to put this out in the world. Because to be honest, I, I I found it really weird to make money the primary thing that
Mm.
even today, it's kind of weird, because to be honest, I look at money as the accessory that helps you live the life that you want. And
Yeah.
there's so many more important things in life than money, like your family, like your health, like, but money is this, even though it's the accessory, it's the side thing, it's still like it's a huge deal. So it was almost like, it's weird that this is the thing that I want to focus on, because it's
I hear
but
you.
that's kind of where I found myself. So I talk about money every single day.
I guess because you're so amazing at saving it, that's why it was so powerful for you to create this.
Yes, and my friends were always asking me about, just investing. I would, even if they didn't ask me, I would volunteer information.
Oh, bless.
I would just always, and it wasn't just all about, saving. It was like, we were talking about all kinds of things, about mistakes that they had made, about mistakes I had made. We're talking
Mm.
about investing. We're talking about business ideas. We're just talking about ways to leverage money to help us get those things in life that we wanted, right? We're talking about buying handbags, right? And how to save to buy a handbag. So I used to have a personal
Mhm.
blog, and one of the things I used to do on my personal blog was something called Save to Splurge, and it was a challenge that I would have people leave comments at the end of like every post, and we would talk about one thing we wanted to save for this quarter or for this next 6 months, and everybody would set their amounts, and every couple of weeks I would come and make an update, and everybody else who was part of the challenge would leave their updates. I'm trying to save for a pair of shoes, I'm trying to save for a car, I'm trying to save, it was all kinds of things across the spectrum, but it was just a lot of fun.
It sounds I'd be part of it. Wow, yeah. But it's so interesting the way you said about saving it and not just splurging the money just in that moment. That's so true. Like it's about being smart with your money.
Yes,
Mhm.
it's the whole idea of, you can have your cake, but you can't eat it all. You have to pick. You can have everything you want, but it can't be all at the same time. You're gonna have to go through some discipline, some delayed gratification, maybe even some struggle to accomplish certain things. But if you're focused, you will get there eventually. I think we live in this world where everything is, I want it now
Yeah.
because I want it now. And that leads to all kinds of issues, like, credit card debt, and just feeling, just you have all these things, but you still don't feel fulfilled,
Yeah. Yeah. I,
because
I
it's
can
just
hundred. Sorry, Karen.
because it's just a bunch of things and just no value and no, nothing.
Yeah. I totally relate with what you're saying because before, as we were just talking before the interview, I used to be a journalist and, I bought all the handbags, everything. And then the next day I'd be like, what's next? And it was nothing was
What can
fulfilling
I buy
me.
next?
Yeah, literally, it's like, right, what's next? And but no matter how many things I bought or any, like even the expensive stuff, it just didn't make me happy. And it wasn't until I had, it's a bit of a dramatic thing that happened, but I had a cancer scare, then I was made redundant. That was the turning
Wow.
point for me to really look from within, yeah, and realize that, what is it that I'm here to do? What is it that's calling me? And funny enough, kind of like how you're amazing at money, I've always had this way of helping people. Like I've always been that listener, and I've been doing it since I was like the age of 8. When I was working my part-time jobs whilst I was at university, it was just a natural gift. But it took me another further 2 years to realize that. And yeah, like now, if I buy something expensive now, I have a very different feeling to it versus before. It's
Hmm.
amazing.
Yeah, like there's, for me, I almost feel like I'm very I think people sometimes will carry a lot of guilt about, there's so many extremes when it comes to money. It's like, okay, I feel bad because I've overspent, because I've got into debt. But then you clear all that up, and then I feel bad because I'm spending money. And I think
Mm.
it's important to find a balance. where you're able to buy the things that you want to buy, but at the same time be content with what you have and not feel guilty about what you spent because you know that everything else is in order.
Just as you were saying that, something just came up. Would you say that, because obviously generations before, like our ancestors, our female ancestors, didn't really have that abundance. It was always like reliant on the man. Do you think that's why
Yes.
there's a lot of women who just like go on that splurge shopping spree and then don't think about it? And when they come home and they get that credit card bill, they're like, oh.
That's a great question. I think that could be part of it, but I also think it's also because it's women in this generation. A lot of us are coming from spaces where money doesn't come money behaviors about money, or I would say financial management doesn't come naturally to us. And this is just because of how our mothers were raised and our grandmothers were raised. And this generation is funny in the sense that we've gone through like a really big shift compared to the other generations. And what I mean is that, if you go back to your grandmothers, depending on the age of your listener or even your mother, we live in a world where in the UK and the US, a woman had to bring her husband to open a bank account or to vouch for her to purchase real estate, or our grandmothers and mothers were not allowed to vote. And the traditional household setting was, the husbands would go and make the money, the wives were home as homemakers. And given that that was what it was, the husbands will teach their sons how to go out and make money, and the wives will teach their daughters how to be housemakers and homemakers and teach them amazing recipes. And fast forward now to this current generation, we're in this space where women are graduating college at record paces than men. We are opening businesses at record paces than men. Despite the gender wage gap, a lot of women are earning more money than their mothers or their grandmothers and even their fathers and grandfathers did. Many women. So I'm being very general here. Obviously, there's lots of different situations, but for the most part, it's kind of like that's what it is. And so we're in this space where now we have more money than our mothers or grandmothers had in their hands. We have more freedom. We have more opportunities as women, even though we still have a very, very, very long way to go. And we are at this point where we have to know how to manage our money, or it'll slip away from us through the shopping sprees and the overspending and the what's her name? What's the shopaholic? Did you see the movie? Read the book.
I love that movie.
Exactly. So we're in this kind of like interesting space where the tables have turned so much, but then we now owe it to ourselves to take control of how fast that table is spinning so that we don't you know, waste all the money that we're earning.
Yeah. I guess as well, we've not had the tools like our
Yes.
brothers or like dads or fathers or great grandfathers had. So that's where the whole thing is like, what do we do with the money?
Yeah. And it's not that men have, it's not that guys have had this perfect financial training, because
True.
just as many men are bad with money, they've just, the conversation has just been more natural for them. Like even for us as women, just to sit and talk about money, we'll talk about everything else first. We'll talk about hair and makeup. We'll talk about Harry and Meghan and Kim Kardashian and Beyonce before we talk about finances. We'll do all of the above first.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, you're right. You never really, just thinking back to my old life, you never really spoke about money. It was like, it was rude to talk about money almost. Like you don't talk about how much you earn or you don't say, but when you're in the business world, it's like, tell me all.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So, Madi, you created the Clever Finance. Sorry, I keep saying it wrong. You created the Clever Girl Finance. How are you now helping women to get smarter with their finances?
Yeah, so my goal with Clever Girl Finance is just to empower women to make smart decisions with their money. It's the idea of knowledge is power, and it's also the idea of no shame and no judgment. So we've all made money mistakes in the past, and so what's important is that we take the lessons and then we move forward. And so empowering women with education, I think, even it creates a space of community, creates a safe space where we can have conversation about money without feeling shamed or judged. So that's really the mission of Clever Girl Finance.
Wow. I love it. I think it's just so powerful. And I feel like everyone out there who's listening right now should definitely go check it out, because all of us can learn something new about our finances. There's always something to be learned, right?
Yes, I'm absolutely still learning. I've gone to this point where, okay, I'm trying to learn more about investing and different types of investing. For instance, one of the areas that's interesting me for 20 is learning a lot more about real estate investing. So there's opportunities for us to constantly be learning. And I even love reading personal finance books that go over the basics again, because there's no knowledge loss, and sometimes it's like getting a good reminder. So I read a book recently that I had read maybe like 10 years ago. um, and I read it and I was telling my friend that, oh my God, I got so many refreshers from this book, and I got so many tips of things I had, you know, thought I was doing, but I kind of need to fine tune. It was such a great experience. So there's no knowledge lost. Even if you think you know it all, there's still something to learn.
Yeah, that's so true. There's always something to learn. Always feel like we're always learning no matter what stage we're at. And, wherever you guys are at the moment, like check out Bola's website and just ask for help as well. I think it's so important that if you're not sure what to do, always ask for help.
Yes, exactly. And you want to be mindful that you're asking for help from people who are going to actually be excited to motivate and empower you, or people who are going through the same journey or have already gone through the same journey. Sometimes, if you ask for help from the wrong people, they can take you off path, they can demotivate you, they can make you feel like you're wasting your time, or that that's such a stupid idea. So you want to be very mindful of who you're asking for help and who you're asking to support you on this journey.
Powerful. I just wanted to ask, what's your, like, now that your children are growing up, how are they like with their finances?
Well, growing up, they're only 6.
Oh, bless. I didn't realize it was so old.
But
I'm guessing you've got them starting to learn about money, and or maybe start like to understand it a little bit.
yeah, so I'm teaching them about money, and I'm helping them understand the concept of like spending versus saving versus giving versus ownership. So one of the things we do every month is we try to buy stocks with money that they have. And the idea is that, as opposed to just spending any money all the time on Barbies and Hot Wheels cars, that you become an owner of the company, right? As opposed to, so there, sometimes these concepts are like mind blowing for little kids, but they're starting to grasp the idea of it's important to save, and it's important to be grateful for what we have because some other people don't have it, and it's important to give and help other people, and that money is not everything. And I'm also teaching them the idea of just being humble. There's nothing worse than a entitled human being, self-entitled human being. Oh my God, uh, who has no regard and zero gratitude for any opportunity they have in their life.
Yeah, I've met many people like that before. And yeah, you're so right. When you have more gratitude, there's more. And I also feel like when you have more gratitude, there's more abundance and there's more you can do with that.
Absolutely. I'm huge on that. I'm huge on, the way how you appreciate what you have attracts so much more to you in more ways than you can even imagine.
Can you tell me about your book, Clever Girl Finance?
Yeah, so the book is basically the book I wish I had when I was that younger girl, coming out of college, trying to figure out how to save and invest. It talks about, just everything you need to do to get your finances in order, from adjusting your mindset to your circle of influence to your savings, credit, investing, dealing with money, relationships, side hustling. And it was a labor of love creating that book. And I wanted it to be something that was very approachable, very easy, very light to read. And that's the whole idea behind the book.
Love it. And if somebody was listening to this interview right now, what are your 5 top tips for someone who's wanting to live life on their own terms, but they really don't know where to start?
I think the first thing I would say is to set the intention. Like, you have to decide that you want to succeed. You have to decide that you're ready to succeed. If you don't set the intention, you're not going to take the action. So that's really, really important. That's number one. The second thing I would say is that you need to adjust your mindset and um, get your head in the game and forgive yourself for the mistakes that you have made. I think a lot of times as women, we carry so much baggage and self-judgment and shame around the things that we have done wrong. We don't give ourselves the opportunity to do things right. We don't even give ourselves that grace because we're telling ourselves, I'm so bad with money, I'm so bad at this, I'm so bad at that. And so it's really important for us to um, recognize what those mistakes are, and then take the lessons, and then just let mistakes go. Everybody has made a mistake, so forgiving yourself is the second thing. The third thing I would say is the people you surround yourself with are so important. Like, you really
Mm.
want to make sure that you have the right circle of influence. And even if you don't have those people in your immediate presence, thank God for, the world we live in today. The internet has so many resources. There's podcasts, videos, Instagram, where you can find little communities of people who are on the same path or who have accomplished the things that you're trying to accomplish. So there's people for me like Sarah Blakely, who's the founder of Spanx,
Yeah.
or Oprah. They have
Mm.
no idea who I am. They don't need to know me, but to me, they're like virtual mentors in my head because they motivate me. I watch videos and read books about them all the time. I follow them on social media, and they help me stay inspired.
Yeah.
Um, Go ahead.
I was gonna say they're badass. They're badasses,
Yes,
100%.
yes. And then the fourth thing I would say is that knowledge is power. So start to educate yourself. If you're trying to improve your finances, improve your career, whatever that thing is, start to understand, how do I save? How do I invest? How do I budget? What are these things I need to learn? And again, books, podcasts, videos, there's so many resources to help you succeed, to help you learn. And a lot of people will say, I'm bad with money, and that's a very common thing, but you're bad because you don't know. And once you know, you can do better. It's like learning how to ride a bike. When you first start, you're going to fall off and stumble and, scrape your knee. But once you get it, you can throw off the helmet, you know, and go downhill with your arms in the wind, but you can still balance the bicycle. So that's the whole idea, is knowledge is power. You have to learn. And then finally, I would say the fifth thing, super important, is take action.
Mm.
Everything else you do is in vain unless you take action, unless you take those steps, unless you pick yourself up every time you fall down. So that's really, really important.
Wow. I love those five top tips, and I love the fact that you said about all like knowledge is power. It's so true. Like non like some households they may have had that from from generations to generations, but if you're a generation where you're the first one to be like a millionaire or the first one to be educated, then it's about learning more. You just got to keep learning, so then the next generation will be able to know what to do.
Yes, and even people who have had, wealth in their generations, if they don't pass down the knowledge, there's
Mhm.
always that one, irresponsible person that squanders the family wealth. It's in tons of movies.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think as well, what is so fascinating what you're saying is that it doesn't matter where you are right now, you can always shift your finances.
Yes, and it takes time, but every shift, every change starts with one small step. We have to get, people think that things just happen overnight. You become that overnight sensation, but it's sometimes there's a saying about it's millions of tiny drops of water that create the mighty ocean. It's kind of like that.
Yeah. What's the biggest learning curve you've had over the years regarding finances?
I don't know if I wouldn't say it's a learning curve. I think they've been like small curves or small bumps. And I would think it's just there's so many of them. I mean, I learn every day. Like, it's making mistakes with investing. It's overspending. It's and then having to put my tail between my legs and go return the thing that I overspent on. There's just like so many little bumps and bumps and bumps. But being able to climb over those bumps and keep moving and take those experiences have helped me have allowed me to have allowed those bumps not be massive curves.
Hmm. I have to admit, when I started my business, that's when I started to learn more about my finances. Because back before, I'd be like, I'll buy anything I want. And then when I had my business, it's like, do I really need
Because you're
that?
getting that steady paycheck every 2 weeks. You didn't have to
Yeah.
worry about, oh, do I buy the handbag or do I pay for the online tools?
Yeah. And it was like, actually, I want to invest. Do I really need that bag, or can I invest that into my business? And I think
Hmm.
that's what was the turning point for me. And I think having a business is so smart as well. Like if you've never had to think about money before, but when you have a business, that's when you start to become more savvy with the money, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. I was gonna ask about like you were saying about your parents and stuff, and like that they helped
Hmm.
you. What was like the biggest takeaway, like learning that you had from your parents about money?
I think for me, it was watching. So my mom got married very young. My mom got married when she was 19, and she didn't have a college education. She married an older, my dad was maybe like 12 years older than her. And I think for me, just watching her navigate life and seeing the things that were happening to her friends that she didn't want to ever happen to her, like, getting married young.
Mm.
She saw a lot of her friends go through divorces and just have no idea about the family finances. She saw friends lose their spouses, unfortunately, and just have nowhere to start over.
Wow.
And they just really struggled and suffered to even get themselves back on their feet in one way or the other. And life was just never the same. And a
Mm.
lot of that was because of the financial aspect, right? It was the loss, but also the finances. And my mom just didn't ever want to find herself in that position. And so I watched my mom go to college, with 4 small children. I watched my mom, hustling to work a full-time job and do all kinds of side businesses so that she could put money aside to stand on her own 2 feet. And then I watched my mom become the breadwinner in our family when my
Wow.
dad went through a financial downturn. So for me, just watching my mom go from being, just not having any say to educating herself and building, getting her finances in order and building a financial standing for herself was just is the most valuable lesson.
Mm. Wow. It's almost like you're, wow. It'd feel like you're kind of representing her legacy through what you do
Exactly.
to help
Yeah.
others. Wow. That's
Yeah.
powerful.
So my mom is a
Wow.
huge inspiration.
Wow. So my dear, we're coming towards the end of the show. It's gone so quick. I've got I've got two questions left for you. The first one is, what are you most grateful for?
Oh, my family, my health, my life. That's what I'm
Mm.
most grateful for. It's like more than one thing, but
Yeah. And what shines your inner light?
what shines my inner light has nothing to do with money. It's being able to it's my kids. It's being able to watch them grow and be present and to support them and just see them as they're evolving into, like, human beings, into like into older human beings. I just For me, it's just the biggest opportunity of my life.
Thank you, Bola, and thank you for just sharing what you do with everybody and just being another bright light in this world. We need so many more people like yourself, just empowering other women to really just know how to just stand on their own 2 feet and just really just be empowered.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful to have been here.
What a great interview with Bola. I just think it's so important to really honor where you are right now with your finances and get support and guidance in how you can shift and grow and evolve your finances, because in this day and age, more than ever, as women, we need to rise up and really know how we can become more abundant than ever before, so then the next generation as women can be even more abundant than us. So just, if you've never heard of Bola before, do check out her website, and there's so much amazing content on there for you guys to really kickstart your journey of creating a financially secure life. Unfortunately, that's the end of the show. Before I leave, I want to leave you with this quote. Make your comeback stronger than your setback. That's a quote by Clever Girls Know. For more information about the show or how to trust your inner light, visit my new coaching program at gerdshandel.com. And remember, stay happy, stay healthy, stay lit.